Buddy Mark Herman, aka LA Bengal fan on all the major platforms, and I am joined by Sam Schneider, as always, from Primetime Sports Talk. And go tell them where I can find all your stuff, Sam.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Buy and Sell You. I also write for, like Mark said, Primetime Sports Talk. You can find us at Talk Primetime on Twitter or at primetimesportstalk.com.
All right. Well, we are here Thursday night. It's halftime of the evening game, and we are here recording our show with a preview of our Browns game this week, which I'm not feeling very good about. I'm not feeling good about the next few games. If you followed me on Twitter, you know that I'm really down on this coaching staff. I'm really down on the attitude of the players. And so it hasn't been a positive week for me, shall we say. I'm not in my Zen place. So we'll do, as usual, the stuff we're feeling good about, not feeling good about. And my list, obviously, on the not feeling good about is a lot longer than my list of feeling good about. We'll go through some of the typical stuff, and then we'll get to some of the larger things. I'm not feeling good still about our ability to stop the run. I mean, even though Chubb is out, I still think this is a Kareem Hunt up the middle on us. I think they're going to run a ton. I'm not feeling good about the fact that this is set up almost identical to our week 2 game where we're facing the Browns coming off a loss with all these questions about Baker. And here it is. Oh, who does he get? He gets the bounce back game against the Bengals. So here we are. It's almost identical. The talk about, is he the guy for the future? All that, that's all there. And I don't like any of that. So what do you think about those?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The Kareem Hunt thing is curious because in the last 2 games, I think he's only averaging like 3.25 yards per carry. And I think Cleveland fans are pointing to the defenses that they were playing. Yeah. So obviously he's going to do better than that. But he's also he's got sore ribs. So I don't think I think people underestimate what a rib injury can do to you. So, you hit him a couple times in the right spot, just on tackles. I'm not saying anything untoward or anything like that. But, when you're starting to feel it, then, you're starting to be more willing to just go down rather than trying to bounce off of guys. And as long as I'm going to mention ribs, I should say that Baker Mayfield's got the same issue.
Right.
He's got a rib issue. And I guess I should have saved this for, what I like, although I don't like when anybody's injured. I think that sucks. And I certainly wouldn't be able to handle it. But, Baker's banged up and he came out, when the game was out of reach against Pittsburgh, who was kicking.
Well, they pulled him out because to protect him. It was the game was already gone.
Yeah, they were kicking him up and down the field. There was no reason for him to be in there. But, a quarterback with hurt ribs is arguably even worse than a running back. Because, I mean, even if it's not on your throwing side, I mean, there's a lot of torque that goes on above the waist.
You feel, for anybody who's ever had rib issues, I have too. There's no way to put a cast on it or anything like that. It's like all they do is prescribe pain pills and he wait it out. Yeah. And it will affect breathing, sitting, you don't realize how much your diaphragm contracts and expands, and you feel all that with your rib. Sneezes. I remember sneezing and just going, oh my God, it's coming. And you just brace for the pain because
you even do the typical, like, can I stop myself? Right. Can I stop it? Can I stop myself from doing it?
Yeah, I have lower back issues, and it's a similar kind of thing to where sitting, walking, you feel every step in your lower back. It's the same thing with ribs. I get that, but these guys can take a shot if they want to numb it. And some guys are good at playing hurt.
Or wear a flak jacket.
Wear a flak jacket. So, and I think both of them will have that, but I'm still very concerned about our ability to stop the run. I think they're going to come up the middle on us. I know we've activated Daniels, or he's been cleared to practice, but I don't know if we're going to have him back this week. We don't know if the coaches are going to play Geno. So I'm just very concerned about them just gashing us on the run. Because I remember the drive where they marched down the field in like 50 seconds. Baker didn't even throw the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll address the thing you just said on the defensive line is Mike Daniels. It's really encouraging that he's been cleared to practice, and he was back at practice this week. I don't know at what capacity because there's such limited media availability
Right.
at the practices. So you don't get very much information about whether he was on the field, whether he was just working out on the side,
Yeah. He's
or
not even
whatnot.
listed on the injury report. So I don't
Right.
know if that's because he's not activated or
Yeah, I think that's correct, Mark.
right.
Because he has, or the Bengals have rather, they have when a guy comes off the IR, they have 3 weeks to actually activate him to the roster. So he could be activated tomorrow, or he could be activated in November.
Right.
And that's kind of where we are. You have no idea. And obviously, we went out and signed Margus Hunt. I don't know if you were
Right.
going to bring that up or
Yeah,
not.
Eastern Bloc. Of course, I was going to bring up our shot putter from SMU.
Yeah,
So great story.
the shot putter, record setter in discus throw, a hammer thrower. I've always really liked Margus, and a friend of mine has a Margus Hunt jersey.
I know. I've seen her. Remember, I sat next to her at the bar.
That's
the first
right.
time I ever met her. She was wearing a Marcus Hunt jersey, and I said, "A Marcus Hunt
I
jersey?"
made her get
That's
it.
when he was a rookie.
It.
She could buy any jersey. She bought a Marcus Hunt because of the story, and
I made her. She was like, I'm trying to decide between this person and that person. I was like, oh, you have to get Margus Hunt. You have to. But anyway, let me just drop this real quick. When Margus came to Cincinnati, I don't know if a lot of people know this, so I'm going to try to make the story really short. But he went to SMU as a potential Olympian because he had already competed with Estonia, where he's from, for a long time. But when he got to MSU, they had defunded the
track and field. Yeah,
the track and field department. And the football coach was like, well, hold on, wait a minute. Who's this guy? Because he's 6'8", and he's, a huge dude, very, very athletic, ran a 4.6 40, has a huge wingspan, and didn't know much about American football. So he learned it by playing Madden.
Right. He didn't know anything about American football.
No.
I mean, he knew of it, but he didn't know the nuances. And yeah, he taught himself on Madden.
Yeah, he taught himself by playing video games. But, in Cincinnati, in 3 years in Cincinnati, he never started a game. He had 29 tackles, and 1.5 sacks. And then he went to Indianapolis, and he only started one season there, about 15 games. But still, in 3 seasons, again, 76 tackles, 5 sacks, 31 quarterback hits, 19 tackles for loss. And I think anybody that's a Cincinnati fan knows he's also very adept at blocking kicks.
That was his call at SMU. He blocked a record number of extra points and field goals in the short time he played for SMU. And I don't know the numbers. You guys can throw that in the comment section if you look it up. I remember it was like a dozen.
7.
Was it
he
7?
Blocked 7 in one season.
But I think he had over a dozen blocks over his couple years that he played college ball. So that's an astronomical number. And in his defense, when he was on Cincinnati, if you remember Marvin Lewis, he did it. You had to really, it was hard to crack Marvin's starting lineup. And we had Michael Johnson at the time in his heyday and Dunlap in his heyday. So we had 2 really good defensive ends. He was brought in a lot on special teams and things like that for kick blocking, but he didn't have the playing time, which is always my beef on Marvin. Was we draft guys and then we'd sit him for 2 years. It was like,
I mean, he was a 2nd round draft pick. I like, why do you not play a 2nd round draft pick? I mean, you can't just.
And Jim Harbaugh, when he was coaching San Francisco, that was his pick coming up in the round. He was actually said in an interview that he was very upset because Hunt was one of his sleepers that he was looking to grab. So the fact that Harbaugh wanted him tells you a lot about who he was.
I think the last thing I'll mention is I've seen a lot of Bengals people talking about, why do we need another defensive end? Because that's where Margus was playing. But in 2019 for Indianapolis, they converted him to a defensive tackle.
Yes.
So they clearly signed him to put him in the middle of the line, next to Geno or Covington or Daniels if he's ready, or whoever's out there. And hopefully Geno's playing time keeps going up.
Right. Hopefully so. And that's going to bring us. And one of the other things I have on the bad list was Mixon's hurting. He hasn't practiced both days. We don't know his status. Do you have any Any idea about how severe? I mean, we're going to see Mixon play this week, or
I think it's up in the air. I've seen a couple of people say that if he doesn't practice tomorrow, he won't play. But I don't know that I'm buying that, because he's around enough and he's talented enough that I think that Zach, he might be one of the only players that Zach might be willing to play regardless of whether he gets a lot of practice time in. The curious thing about this is they haven't really let us know exactly what the issue is. We know that it's a foot sprain.
right?
It's probably midfoot, and that carries some really interesting things. If it's a grade 1 foot sprain in the middle,
Right.
that's like a 3-day recovery time, and you can be back.
Right.
If it's a grade 2, that's more like 36 days.
Well, that's a huge difference between being ready for Sunday and not playing until the end of November.
Enormous. But here's the one thing I'll mention is he was spotted at practice today dancing on the sidelines. So that says to me that probably not grade 2, probably grade 1. They're being cautious, letting him rest it. In my opinion, he plays.
Okay, I agree. And I always think, like, when we're looking at injury reports, I think a lot of this stuff is misinformation. Do you know that Julian Edelman was on the injury report every week last year for the New England Patriots and played every time he was on the injury report? So I think one of those things, there are certain players that just pop up and they skip practice. And, Belichick was always comfortable. Well, put Edelman out there, having not practiced all week. And he was literally, I think it was 12 straight weeks in a row, he was listed as questionable, and he played every single time. So
I think it's funny that you mentioned the Patriots, because Belichick did that with Brady too. I think Brady went a season and a half where every week he was on the injury report, questionable with a shoulder. Right. And there was no doubt he was going to play. But I think it was because maybe Belichick got scolded one time for misreporting. And so he was like, all right, well, then I'm just going to report everything.
Right. Yeah. No, that sounds like Belichick.
Something like 24 games straight, he had Brady questionable shoulder.
So, well, let's get to the elephant in the room. And the big elephant in the room is our coaches in our locker room. I've been questioning the coaches all week. A lot of talk on social media. I've heard from veteran. I told you I have people who know veteran players, and we've heard that the locker room is not in a good shape. We've had some things come out and being said, but they're not coming out and saying, oh, they're general comments like, oh no, as players we have each other's backs, or the locker room is really close and we're all tight knit, the players. But none of them are coming out and saying, oh, we trust Zach. Zach's leading us to a Super Bowl. Or we know, there's nothing like that where there's been an open support for the coach.
Right.
We get these very generic, much like Zach Taylor's press conferences. We get these very generic comments that can be construed, and you could say they're not lying, but they're certainly not being as forthcoming. So what are your thoughts about everything? You know my feelings. I've completely lost faith in the staff. I think we need to reboot the staff at the end of the year. That's just my feeling. That's where I'm in. So
what I know you are. It's your broken record take of the week.
Yeah.
But I don't fault you for it. I don't necessarily agree with all of it. I agree with some of the staff. I don't necessarily agree with Taylor, but I actually have another source who talked this week about what's going on in there. The first thing he said was, this is nothing a win can't cure. And I don't buy that.
I don't buy that either.
I'm not buying it. And that's okay. But he also said, the Atkins thing is what I've been saying on Twitter all along, which is this was a way more serious injury than anybody actually knows. That's why when before the season started, when I said it's going to be at least 5 weeks, because if he gets hit the wrong way, he's gone for the season. He played 19 snaps in his first game. He actually went down to 18 snaps last game. But this source said he's nowhere near 100%. The problem is you've got a player that wants to play and thinks he can. And if you tell him he can't, even if it's because you're being cautious and listening to doctors, then he might get a little, perturbed by that. So, obviously people are stirring up some stuff on that. The other thing that was big is he said the coaching staff is not happy about the fact that Dunlap is not playing 100% during the game since he's been upset. He's not giving his all. He doesn't look like the same guy, not physically, but just like he's checked out, like he's annoyed. So the next question was, well, do you think there's a chance of trading either one of those people? And he said, absolutely not. There's no way Mike Brown is going to do it.
Right.
He will not trade them. He still thinks they're a valuable part of the team. He thinks this is a situation they can correct.
I've heard there were some inappropriate things said by coaches in the locker room about players to other players. I've heard stuff like that. Like I said, I'm here. It's not
in front of.
It hasn't been. The quote that I caught on Twitter where Joe Burrow. It was a Fox report, and it said, from conversations they've had inside the organization, the feeling that Zach Taylor has lost the locker room is being driven by one or two players. Overwhelming majority disagree. Joe Burrow echoed that today. This is a very close locker room. Okay, that's not a support of the coaching staff. This is a very close locker room. Is a response. Is just a generic kind of.
It's the PC. It's the
absolutely,
PC
but that
especially for a rookie, it's the PC response.
But if you,
I can tell you right now who those two players are, though.
Well, it's okay. Okay, you can.
I'll tell you right now. It's Sean Williams, which is ridiculous because Sean Williams is out on the field for the majority of the snaps. Maybe he doesn't like the defense, I guess, but he was the one that got Darius Phillips and Pratt and John Ross, who.
Well, John Ross isn't in a position to say anything. Ross,
keep your mouth shut. Well, the Bengal fans lit him up, and Sean Williams eventually deleted the tweet because so many people were re-quoting John Ross and saying, things like learn how to catch the ball.
Right. Learn how to run a route. How's that?
Yeah.
Learn how to run a route.
It's Sean Williams for starting that on social media. They can't be happy about that. And frankly, I would bet everything in my wallet right now. Well, that's probably, I'll say bank account because there's no cash in my wallet.
I was gonna say, we're gonna bet $5. Is that what's going on here? I'll cover that $5 bet.
I'll bet my bank account that the other one actually is Carlos Dunlap because body language speaks a million words, and his body language in the last game was really, really bad. And by the way, that is not the way to get your starting job back.
No, it's not.
I don't know what he's thinking.
But a lot of
it, I love him, and we all love him. But I'm like, come on, dude, what are you doing?
But a lot of it is also how players see other players being treated. And a guy like AJ Green, who doesn't feel like he's being treated right by the coaches, that has ramifications in the locker room. I mean, because AJ Green never did an Antonio Brown on us. He's well respected in the locker room. He's never been a complainer. So, like I said, I think a lot of these guys, and this is just my opinion here, but I think a lot of some of these, the Sean Williams and the Phillips and the people and Dunlap who are speaking up, they're doing it because there's other people in the background who have those same feelings and aren't in a position to say anything.
Right. And I guess the last thing I'll say on the subject is, like I said, I'm not buying that one win cures all ills. I'm not buying that. I will, however, say that it is natural for players when they're losing to start lashing out and being upset and thinking they can do things better. And I can respect that. Everybody does that at every job. I mean, that's just a normal reaction. So, this is going to be a tough stretch because we've got some tough games coming up.
Well, and my feeling is here's my feeling on the coaches. Okay. Look at the Sunday night game. Okay. You had Jimmy Garoppolo, who had some confidence issues from the week before coming back. He has a bad ankle. And you have a coach who says, okay, let me develop a scheme where he gets rid of the ball quickly. He doesn't take hits. We get his confidence built up, and we have a chance to win this game. Shanahan won that game. I mean, that scheme was brilliant against the Rams, who, were the overwhelming favorite. That's what we're trying to see in a coach. Burrow's getting sacked a lot. Develop a scheme to where he's not going to get sacked. This person's not involved in the offensive. Develop schemes to protect these people, to protect our offensive line. That's what I'm not seeing, and that's why I've lost complete faith in this coaching staff. And I think the players are seeing it too, and I think it had a glaring spotlight thrown on it last week when we had that huge lead, and they managed to just coach it away. I mean, we literally, I put the title on this video as our recap as snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. That's not what I felt we did last week. We played not to lose it. And that's when I'm looking, this coaching staff, if they're not capable of doing what Shanahan was capable of doing on Sunday night, then they're not our coaching staff. We're going to waste Burrow's contract with guys that can't scheme.
I think, Mark, I think you and I could do an entire show just on the coaching staff.
Oh, I know we could. So
maybe we should.
That was my closing statement.
We should think about sneaking one in like on a Tuesday or something.
Maybe. We'll see. Maybe in the bye week.
Oh, all right. That's fine. We'll talk about it then. Because nobody's going to get fired during the season. If you know anything about Mike Brown, nobody's getting fired.
I'm not asking about
Marvin Lewis was here for 18 years and sucked for a
those of you who follow me on Twitter, you know that I have said on more than one occasion, I think this staff does not have a veteran coach on it because I don't believe Zach Taylor wanted to have a veteran in the background that could be a viable interim coach.
All right,
we have
to get off of this.
We will. All right, so let's transfer over to the feeling good. That's a great segue to feeling good. Do you feel the kumbaya feelings that this is the segue we had planned? This is why this is an organic show and we don't script it and we go.
Yeah.
I have two things on my feeling good and they're like nothing. They're nothings. I've got no Chubb. Okay. We won't have to see. We won't have him gashing us like we did in week 2.
Right.
The other thing I have is Daniel.
I mentioned earlier that Kareem is not running that great and has the rib injury. I'm not saying he's going to have trouble against us, but he's also not catching as many passes, I think, as people would expect. Like his catches this year have gone like 4, 5, 3, 2, 3, 4. So he's not been that dangerous on the edge. But yeah, I agree with you. No Chubb and Kareem's banged up. So good start.
And Daniels is coming back, or Daniels is returning earlier. I don't even have him playing this week, but I just have it. Those are the only 2 positive things I could really think of going into this game. That's all I got. That, and if you have Joe Burrow, start him because I think he's going to fling it probably 50 times this game. I do think this will be a higher scoring game. I have. Go ahead. No, I was going to say, and Stefanski, I think is going to scheme stuff to work for. He's going to do what Shanahan did Sunday night. I think he's going to do something along those lines. So,
yeah, I agree with you. I think I jotted down a couple things. Obviously I threw the Hunt thing in there earlier. The Cleveland defense's run defense particularly played pretty well this year. They were only giving up just under 4 yards a carry to opposing offenses. And then last week, James Conner just ripped them apart. He had 5 yards a carry. He had 101 yards. I think he scored a touchdown too. But even if he didn't, I mean, that's pretty good.
Right.
And so that's nice. The other thing I like, I saw a stat the other day, which I've been pushing for. If you've watched any of these videos, I've said it a couple of times. The Bengals have the 11th quickest pace on offense in the NFL. And I would like to get that into the top 10 easily.
Yeah.
Because Burrow plays better when he's in the hurry up and when we're doing the no huddle and catching guys off guard and keeping the defense off their heels and stopping substitutions. And I think, when you've got a team like this that's struggling a little bit, I think that's really, really important to find what your strengths are. And for Burrow, it's always been, that 2-minute offense.
Right.
Well, I mean, what are there? There's a 3-minute offense, a 2-minute offense, a 1-minute offense, where he's zigging short passes and we're just moving the ball. And I would love to see us just kind of fool somebody in the first quarter and just kind of run a little bit of a hurry up. I don't know that they'll actually do it, but I feel good about our ability to. So I'm looking forward to, even if it still doesn't come until the end of the half or the end of the game, I'm looking forward to us zigging. And it just occurred to me that I don't have a prediction. I'm looking forward to us zigging the ball around a little bit and moving it quicker and keeping guys moving. Because I mean, look, Burrow's been sacked 24 times this year, and that's a lot. But it's especially a lot if you consider that in one of those games he was only sacked once.
Right.
So that's 23 times in 5 games. You've got Garrett coming in, who's got 7 sacks on the season. And they're going to do exactly what they did last time. We talked about this.
Yeah.
They line him up against Jonah. They line him up against Bobby, who, by the way, I forgot, is making $7 million a year. Bengals fans, if you're going to be absolutely upset about anything in the world.
Well, they were upset. They were upset when we signed him. And Turner just defended it.
3-year, $21 million deal extension.
Right. Well, I said when the extension came out, people were pissed. Is crazy.
Come on,
that's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
The only that's getting into like the Kirk Cousins guaranteed contract. You just got to know what were you thinking. So, yeah. Well, the Eagles started tonight with the hurry up to start the game, and they scored a touchdown in their opening drive. They didn't get to the end zone again for the rest of the first half. We don't know what's going on right now because I have to turn the game off, so I pay attention to what I'm doing here. But yeah, I would like to see it. But what you just suggested requires coaching. Okay, that coaches actually have to come up with a scheme and plan and coach. So I want to see a scheme. I want to see a plan that shows that you put some thought into the game.
Well, I'll call the red phone on the sideline.
Yeah, you can,
and I'll let Zach know that he needs to start running a little hurry up and a little no huddle.
Listen, doesn't have to hear it from us. All I have to do is if he follows social media at all, it's coming from every direction right now. So, all right. Well, let's get to the prediction that you.
Okay, I got to make one up because
I'll make one up for you. I've got one right here. I don't see us. I'm going to give the defense some credit and say that we hold them to. I had them to 2 touchdowns and 4 field goals. I think we do the bend and don't break, and the defense hangs tough on some of these drives. So I've got a 26-13, and I think it's like 26-6. I don't think this is a close game. I think we're chasing most of the game. I think we'll get a jug TD at the end, go for 2. So I've got 26-13 as losing. That's what I have.
26-13.
Yeah. And that's only because I'm giving the defense some credit that they're only going to give up. They're going to give up 6 scoring drives, but they'll only be 2 touchdowns.
Okay. I think was Mackenzie Alexander on the injury report?
Mackenzie Alexander, I don't believe was listed on the injury report. I will tell you right now.
So for that reason,
no, he is not listed on the injury report.
So for that reason, I think the Bengals defense plays better this week. William Jackson III's got a concussion.
He didn't practice either day. We don't. Concussion is like that's not in our hands. So
this is the second time we've had a player with a concussion where we didn't know about it on Sunday, which is really strange. But I hate William Jackson III, so I don't really care.
I don't hate any of our players, other than John Ross.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Hate is a strong word. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of WJ3. I wrote that article before the season.
I know you did.
I'm not a big fan, but I like having Mackenzie back. I like what that means. I think Von Bell is upset about getting burnt, and I'm going to make the pick because my buddy from Cleveland said, "Hey, I can't wait to hear you pick the Bengals tonight," and so I'm going to. So I'm going to say Bengals 24-20.
There you go. He's going to be a homer. He's going to pick the Bengals.
And have I been much this year? I have not.
No, that's why.
I am today. We're playing at home. I'm taking the extra points at home. I'm saying 24-20. We fool them. And because the Browns just looked horrible last week. I know Pittsburgh's good. I get it. But they looked horrible last week. Baker's banged up. Kareem is banged up. There's no Chubb. He can't find Landry. OBJ is like, is he even there? I don't know. I think we got a great shot at this game.
All right. Well, that's the
and we should, because the next two are both losses.
Oh, the next two, Vrabel and Tomlin.
Yep.
I can't think of two teams back to back. They're playing each other this week, which will be a really good game to watch. The line shifted so much. I teased Tennessee. I have Tennessee plus 9.5 on a teaser, which I absolutely. The tease is now under 5. So
Slam
well, like I said, that's why I grabbed it when I saw it. But those two teams are, I mean, you've got coaches that coach well, and you've got defenses that are shutdown defenses. So
I don't know if you can hear it, but I've got there's a 1-year-old in the next room. As soon as I made my prediction, it was screaming bloody murder.
There you go. That's an angry Browns fan in the back.
It must be a Cleveland fan, I guess.
Must be a Cleveland fan. So, all right. Well, there you have it. We've got the prediction. We'll be back right after the game. We'll do our recap. I'd love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. But one reason why I respect your pick of picking the Bengals this week is because you don't pick the Bengals every week. What I hate is when I watch these shows or I listen to other people on Twitter that will not say a bad word about the team. They won't question the team. And every week it's, we're going to crush them. We're going to crush them. Or I hear we're going to string 4 wins together. And I'm like, have you looked at the schedule and seen?
We're not
homers.
It might have been a homer pick, but we are not homers. We call
no.
it like we see it. And even though I hadn't thought about it before, I did come into this video thinking the Bengals would win. So I stick to what I say.
There you go. Well, I would love to be proven wrong. And I'm wearing my baby Groot shirt for you guys here. That's my I am Bengals baby Groot shirt. So maybe this brings a little luck. I don't know, but we don't.
I don't think Adios Pantalones is going to bring us luck.
I like that.
It's still a good shirt.
It's not that I am Bengals Groot, but so we will be back with a recap video after the game. I would love to be wrong. I just, guys, in order to get my faith back, you have to show me. When I coach girls soccer, I used to tell the girls all the time, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I said, don't tell me, show me. And that's what I'm saying that I need to see. Otherwise, the faith doesn't come back. Go ahead.
Well, and we need everybody that's watching this to tell us in the comments. Tell us what the score is going to be, how you feel about it, and how you think the game's going to go.
There you go. So we'll be back afterwards. Sam, tell them where they can find your stuff again.
Yep. Twitter, buy and sell you. I write for Primetime Sports Talk, which is @Talk Primetime on Twitter, or primetimesportstalk.com. And I always do the pre and post game recaps in text on there as well.
Excellent. So, and go ahead and subscribe to this channel. That's all we ask. If you haven't already, go ahead and just click the little logo in the lower right corner there. Subscribe to us, and we will see you after the game on Sunday. And I hope to be wrong. So with that, I'm going to say, hoo-day, everybody.
Hoo-day.
Take care, everybody. Bye.